My name is Daniel. I noticed a lot of familiar faces. If this is your first time here, you are in the Improving Houston office. We are a software consultancy. And we love to do a bunch of free events for local community tech groups, just like Code for Y'all. We have a bunch of other stuff going on. We have a calendar out there. So we provide the pizza and the drinks and the event space because we love to see this sort of stuff happen. They did ask me to talk about one event that's happening this year that we're sponsoring. It's called AI for Agile Teams. We have some time. This isn't a. We also have on the TV screen our open position that's constantly switching on the screen over here. But if you reach out to me, I can get in touch. And yeah, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Daniel. What we are going to be in Ion, and I decided when you go on the first page at the end, you have AI tools, real world comparisons, and you can see the text here, and its introduction, and we will talk something about comparing AI models about that. When I tried intentionally, I tried to find something about AI, what AI models we have right now, and I asked ChatGPT, what models do we have right now? I mean, it's easiest thing, and that's why ChatGPT is the first. Okay. And when we talk about ChatGPT, I found something that I couldn't find before. It's a price for the services. You have free ChatGPT. You had a Pro GPT. No, sorry, it's a Plus GPT. Right now they call it Plus. And it was $20. That's how they started. Then they added Pro for $200 if you need something more. And now what they have something like ChatGPT Go. You can see it here for $8 a month. It's a really good thing. And they mentioned something about ads, that they will have advertising. There, we talked about this in Ion, that they are thinking how to put ads into everything, so they did it.
So when the user asks about something, how choosing some home appliance, I don't know. So in Go plans, they would suggest something.
I don't know. I haven't tried it. It will be very interesting.
They had advertising for I think it was about a week, and there was so much backlash that they took it back off. Because you'd ask something like, tell me about weight loss and dieting, and then it was all the advertising after that point would be about Weight Watchers and everything else, and it was eerie. Like when you're surfing on the internet, all the advertising is typically looking at cookies and trying to pin it down, but it was very targeted, and it didn't fly very well. They're trying again.
Since you were talking about, like, if you ask it to go find something like shopping.
Yeah.
So I go round and round with ChatGPT because it actually will tell me, okay, we'll go find this and this and this, and if you give me these different parameters, I can tell you which one's best. And I'm like, you knucklehead. If I have those parameters, I clearly know which one's best. I want you to go get this. You're just assigning me tasks, Let's reverse this. You go find the stuff. And it's funny because it's like, oh, right, kind of like, my bad. I get you now. You want me to do it. I'm like, yeah, that's why I asked.
You're absolutely right.
So it's funny, you have to stay on it or...
Yes, every time.
Well, I think they're doing more of a psychological approach because if they're increasing or adding payments, I've seen that the more upgrades they do, the more parameters they're putting around. And I actually go into the older versions to get information that I want because the older versions were giving it more freely, and I think they're setting it up to force people to go to the phone now. I didn't know they had a pro, so they're gonna start forcing people to go, because the better options are the more expensive. It's a whole psychological game.
Yeah.
That's what we talk on ION also
I'm a behavior analyst,
about
so-
that, and we will mention when we go through all these models, then we will talk about
Yeah.
how this why they want us to pay more,
Okay.
and what is the psychology.
All behavioral.
I was thinking very often about that later after that meetup. So what we have ChatGPT. How many people has account with ChatGPT that's paying?
I have the free one.
I see here $200 for
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
No, I'm not
In
I'm not
voting.
Mine was 20, yeah.
For $20 a month, you get like 10 deep research prompts a month. And they go up and do, like, give you a 20-page report on some topic.
Yeah.
It's really quite a good deal. The price is definitely going up. They're not doing $100 billion.
What are you considering as deep research then for that kind of application? Are you reading the whole 20 pages?
But,
Yeah.
What's an example of one of those deep research things?
oh, I was going to get my cataract operations, but I had a radiokeratotomy in the 80s, and I said, I hear that's an issue. What should I do? Get me back like 20 research reports on effects and all sorts of, I mean, it's quite deep. And it'll, that's just the context now, and you can ask questions, it'll go deeper in some area of projects.
That's interesting. And if we have like
It thinks
20
for like 20 minutes or an hour or something.
Okay, so I guess I haven't asked it anything deep yet because things kind of, I ask it about a medical thing and then it, like gave me a response, but then we were still just doing questions. But then at some point I usually ask it, where are you getting this? And then it will like tell me its sources and that kind of thing. But I've never gotten like a deep
Well, one thing too is, it's not obvious, but when you want, you have some idea for a business, let's say. And you can go to, I don't know, is it okay to have this?
No, I
That's great. That's
So you go to the normal ChatGPT and you go like, hey, I got this idea, or so, and you type like 3 or 4 random things off the top of your head. And it'll spit back something. But you can also then go, hey, could you take this and turn it into a deep research prompt? So I'm at the simple level. Can you turn that into a good prompt for deep research? Sure. Boom! 3 pages of detailed things it will ask about in deep research.
Okay.
And you give that to deep research, and boom, it gives you 20 or 30 pages.
Okay.
So it will improve its own prompt if you ask it.
Okay, so make it
It'll
layer
help
itself.
you
Yeah.
see all the little edge cases that you have no idea of to start with.
Okay. Thank
It's
you.
really quick.
And then you can also, it really helps, and I had a friend of mine give me a detail about this. If you tell what your audience is before you do the prompts, okay, and one of the things I did was I said, my audience is high school students, and I want you to respond in Elmer Fudd. It did that. Gee, wabbit! And so forth and so on. And it actually did that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I think,
Okay.
But you can do some,
I think
you can do some crazy stuff.
most of the fixes here is through good prompting.
Yeah.
And you can ask the ChatGPT or whatever you use,
Yeah.
write me a prompt.
Yes.
Being you're like you're looking for a job, you are like an expert in this field, and you're a recruiter, and you only hire the top 5. I want you to write me a prompt to look for a job or whatever, right? I don't usually use ChatGPT because that's like what everybody uses, and I guess Perplexity and Claude Code
Yeah.
gives you way more for the free version. Very well structured. You can just tell it, I'm looking like Perplexity browser, Comet or Cosmic. You can just tell it, I'm looking for a truck, give me
this is the, I am looking for the F-250 truck for do whatever. This is the colors I want. Find me 10 in a 50 miles radius under 40,000. And it gives you, and then you tell it, and I want you to put it in an Excel spreadsheet for me.
Yeah.
And it does it for you.
That's Claude.
That's Perplexity, the browser.
Oh.
But Claude is excellent.
Are you saying ChatGPT won't give a good result when you give that to it?
I think ChatGPT is more bare bone. Perplexity. I mean, you need to try it.
We will talk about this and please when I start with when we go on that part, please tell us more about Perplexity and Claude.
Okay.
Okay, so what you do when you have a lot of pages, like 20, 30 pages, then what you do? Oh no, it's Claude. I wanted to say then you start Gemini, Google, and ask Gemini to tell you something about that. Okay, the next is Claude. That's about coding mostly. If you want, I mean I'm using Claude for coding, but
Yeah, Claude has many models. The one that is for coding is, I guess, the Sonnet. And if you have GitHub
No.
Copilot,
No. For deep, serious coding, it's Opus. Sonnet is the
Yes.
standard one, but if you've got a
Yes.
serious pile of
but
code,
Opus is deep thinking, right? Research. And coding is not deep research. So you use 3 times more tokens than you
I'm not
use.
saying it's cheaper.
No, but if you're gonna code something that somebody already did, why you wanna use your tokens with the high end?
But if you do planning before you do the execution, right?
Well, that's a different story. That's a coding, right?
It's still coding. Planning is,
It's the
Well,
most important part of coding.
that's a bigger discussion.
yeah, it's a bigger discussion. But I mean, you know, and GitHub Copilot actually uses Sonnet as well as by default.
As well as what?
Huh? Sonnet.
As well as by default.
No, in the IDE for GitHub Copilot, when the one you generate with VS Code.
Pretend people don't know these terms ahead of time. Are you saying IDE default or,
You know what an IDE
but you're saying IDE?
is?
The letters IDE.
Environment.
Okay.
It's an integrated development environment.
It's where where all the tools are together in one screen.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, but I guess you need to try it. You need to try it with Claude, for instance, using Haiku model or using the Sonnet, and you can see the difference. I mean, I've been cleaning my resume for the past 2 months in Claude, and I can tell you versus ChatGPT is day and night. Yeah.
so you recommend Claude.
I use Claude a lot, yeah, and I pay for that $17 a month.
Okay, it's what they say. It's $200 a year. Then you have increase, which is good.
Well, the thing's not quite clear there is you have to pay something to get Claude Code, which is.
Well, the free
No, you
version,
can pay it by the month.
yeah, the free version gives you enough, but
No, the free version does not give you Claude Code. 0. You have to pay something.
Yeah,
Well,
the Pro,
well,
you
I know that.
get Cloud Code with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in the same ballpark. I mean, Anthropic is night and day over ChatGPT when it comes to code. But, you know, this gentleman's point, you definitely need it for the design, create a project.
Yeah.
Like if I have like a really deep Claude markdown file, of, I want this to have 33 things, you know, make something happen. It's well worth $20 a month to get in there because the proof of concept is great in Anthropic. Now, I would never trust it to do production level code all by itself, but if I'm just trying to give somebody a general idea of, hey, I had this cool idea, here it is functional on the screen. It might still have some bugs, it might not be fully vetted or QA, but it does a pretty good job at doing that.
Yeah, but what about security? Because that's the biggest problem in that too.
Yeah,
But
I
what
wouldn't
about
trust it there.
security?
If anything, this is, in my humble opinion, AI is great as a power-up, not as a replacement.
So how do you get around that, getting people to just sign disclaimers at the beginning to, hey, it's an open source AI?
Well, if you're talking security, like the actual, like the
I'm
program
talking
that
about
you
credit
create.
cards coming to my app, I'm talking about their personal information, their
Ah.
IDs.
But that's a
Yeah.
different thing, that's a bot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bot.
No, I'm saying just, well, okay, I get it.
No, it's a very good point.
Yeah, no,
and
it's a good
Claude's
point.
not looking here. It may have code to process credit cards, but that's not mean Claude's taking the credit card number and sending it
No,
out.
I'm saying when you
But
take
let me
code
tell
and
you-
upload it into
Yeah.
your app,
Yeah,
then you have security risks because it's
Yeah.
not totally protected.
Yeah, there's definitely a
Again, I
concern.
don't
of-
understand the not, how is that different from a human? You have risks when anybody.
Yeah, once you
Credit
open
card
the door to
codes
any of
into
these
the cloud.
things, forget about it. You are in their hands.
Yeah.
yeah, I think what you're saying is that if you let AI generate the code, you can't assume that it's gonna have secure
You
code.
still
Is that
need,
what- is that what you're
yeah, you
after?
still need an engineer.
But can't
Well,
you?
this-
Well,
this
you
gentleman's
have
point
a
is
certain
insane.
level where you develop a relationship where you trust the person that's writing,
Yes.
that's writing the code.
Yeah.
How do you develop that level of trust with AI?
Yeah.
The number of engineers that know nothing about security and send out huge holes is all the time.
I'm saying it
So,
happens.
to err is human is there for a
Yeah.
reason. Like
Yeah.
you say, but it's an excellent point is that it really goes to the trust you put in either the engineer that writes it by hand or the giant billions of tokens that created the same
Yeah.
by whatever. At the end of the day, it's still a matter of trust. Like when you click over to agents, which
Yeah.
are slightly different than generating code.
Yeah.
It's a program that can make decisions based on tools. And to your point, a tool might be use my credit card, right? Like someday it might be like this gentleman's example of I want a red truck using the criteria. Give me a list and then I'll go buy the truck. Versus that level of trust where people say, here's my credit card, buy me groceries. Now that's gonna be a whole other
Yeah.
ballgame. Yeah.
I just wanted to say something about Claude and Anthropic. They released recently this thing called Machine Context Protocol. Machine Context.
Model
Protocol.
Oh,
context.
MTP,
Model.
yeah, yeah.
Machine.
Model context for XP.
Okay, model.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
really
thing.
cool because it is changing the way that you can build interfaces based on large data sets. So if you create a MCP, you can stream that data directly into your Claude chat and it'll build the interface for you. And so you can ask questions of the data and you're not developing any UI. So really interesting.
Can you kind of say that again?
Yeah, so if you have a large data set, so for example, I've been using it for my bookmarks. My bookmarks pinboard has an API and an RSS feed, which I hooked up with the MCP, and I can ask questions of that data in my Claude, and it visualizes it in the chat window. And so you can imagine the applications where you're no longer having to build interfaces, you're just hooking up the data straight to your Claude or your chatbot. So yeah, it's pretty new, pretty cool.
I'm making a request for her to present what she's doing.
Right.
It's pretty amazing. It's very amazing.
I can't get it to work right now, so.
Well, once you get it to work,
No.
once you get it to work.
What good programs is
Listen,
there
that matters
on March
why.
2nd, so you can present us.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what we have, the third is Gemini, Google. Everybody heard about Google, Gemini, what they do.
Who uses
I
Gemini?
think about 2 weeks or maybe a little
I don't
more.
think anybody's using it.
That's a good thing with Gemini.
They included Gemini into Gmail. And now you can have your emails like Gemini can read your emails and can tell you what is in the email, what you have.
I'm using Notebook LM. What you haven't seen, it is astounding. It's a way of being able to research any topic you want. You throw in the documents and it analyzes it and then tells you, here's the study guide, here's the, I mean, it does everything. And it even generates a podcast out of it. And Gemini is the back end for that. So you might want to check out Notebook LM. It's free on Google. Even if you have a free Google account, You can use Notebook LM.
And it does what again?
Notebook LM,
No, but it does what again?
it lets you do research
Uh-huh.
on any topic you want. So for example, we were working with the Chamber of Commerce in Conroe, and they sent us an 80-page document, and we shoved it into Notebook LM, and it generated a 10-minute podcast about the history of the Chamber of Commerce for Conroe, and it went way beyond what was in the 80 pages. It was unbelievable. And you can generate this podcast in like 10 minutes. And then you can do the study guide, you can do the summary, you can do, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff that you can do. I noticed you nodding your head. Are you doing?
I'm a podcast teacher. It's amazing.
Yeah, if I may,
Yeah,
what I use it for,
yeah.
to do my self-evaluation at the end of the year.
Yes.
I uploaded all my documents
Yes.
throughout the year, build me my self-eval,
Yeah.
and creating my podcast. If my boss doesn't know what I'm doing, listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
That's it.
And another thing, you can throw a long video file into it and get summary and ask some questions about this video instead of spending 2 hours for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were asking about who uses Google, and I'm saying Gemini is the back end for this Notebook LM.
Mhm.
So it's not using Gemini directly necessarily, but it's used as a back end for Notebook LM.
There's also I think, is Nano Banana Pro the state of the art
Oh,
still for image?
yeah.
You have to have,
Yes.
at least to start
Yes.
with, you had to have a Gemini API
Yes.
to use Nano Banana Pro. Did they change that?
I think it's still tied to that.
Yes.
So it's like 25 cents an image, but it's this beautiful 4K
Oh,
image
it's-
that you just come.
And we're talking about full videos too, and it's
Yes.
very realistic stuff.
Wait, I think Gemini has only, it's the only, what is the
Videos?
subscription that you can get videos
Yeah.
Gemini's?
on Gemini.
Video.
ChatGPT cannot do that, Claude cannot do that. What is
Can, but
the,
it's not
Use it,
nearly
Gemini's-
in the same league
You know how to
as
use
this
it, yeah.
other stuff.
Gemini Pro 3 is probably the best for both understanding video and
Yeah.
creating video
Yeah.
at the same time. So it's like, it was a couple months back where, deepfakes had like 6 figures and things like that. It's
Yeah.
far better now if you have
Oh,
a prompt to give it an image. But the video part, this gentleman's point as well, where it summarizes the video, it's actually spot on. And it uses a lot of there's a Coco data set from Microsoft from years ago.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the commercials on TV where at the bottom they say performed by AI?
Yes.
It's based on, real thingy, real responses, but performed by AI.
Yeah.
And a couple of them I've seen are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're definitely improving, and it's the video understanding part is it's crazy. Like no definitely for text, but the video is like if you have some sort of like a tutorial, like it's a 2-hour tutorial on YouTube, you're like, give me a 5-minute blurb, and it's done, and it's actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
So you feed it the link to the tutorial?
Yeah, there's a couple things you can do. Like you can find me all the frames that have a dog in it, like that kind of basic stuff, and it's pretty good at tracking.
Are we talking
throughout.
Yeah.
That one's Gemini Pro 3. There's
okay.
there's another website called RoboFlow that does a lot of computer vision
Yeah.
stuff where you can side by side.
Yeah.
You can look at. It's just gonna be a bunch of acronyms, but one of them is Gemini, and it does a really good job of like if you're trying to find, say like in a baseball game, you want a baseball game that's this player, or this team, that kind of stuff.
Gemini Pro or?
Oh, there's a couple things there, sorry. So Gemini Pro 3 is their latest, I think.
Okay.
But if you get on any of these websites, it'll probably give you the option to choose the best tool.
Yeah.
Get on
I
any
think
of,
with the Google One subscription,
Google
you
itself,
have Gemini Pro included.
Yeah, I didn't pay for that one. I got it through another website, the RoboFlow one. So it's kind of paid, kind of not. It's like you pay for the RoboFlow, but then it pays other people.
So, for general discussions, this field is moving really fast, and one of the best places sort of discuss tools or capabilities from more like a business perspective, where they do some tech, is the Houston AI Club. And they meet on the first Thursday of every month, which means they're meeting on Thursday. It's downtown, they're on LinkedIn. The other thing that Houston AI Club also does is every Thursday at 10:30, they have a lightning lesson for about a half an hour. And like
They're charging
recently,
for-
the guy that
for
runs it.
meetups right now.
Sorry?
I think they're charging for meetups.
Only the parking, and they get a discount on the parking.
Yeah,
Normally
I
it's
park
like
on the
20 something,
street.
but it's,
I park at the street and walk 4 blocks, so.
okay.
don't
If you
interchange.
park in the garage, it's $5 plus a 99-cent service fee.
But the
You might be
lightning
thinking-
lessons.
You might be thinking of a different AI club that just came out, and they are charging like RSVP like $30.
And one meetup, AI Club,
Yeah.
they had
I
a
missed that,
meetup here
but I
back
saw
in
it.
November, I think. And then they kind of disappeared. I'm not sure about AI Club. But there's also AITX, which has started out of Austin, but they're trying to be AI over Texas. And they're having a meeting every month. They had a Claude Code workshop, kind of technical, last Friday. And they're having another meetup on February 26th. But if you just search for AITX, it's sort of weird. I don't know if that's easy to Google, but it's
If you want to know more about that subscriptions, here you have behind the title, you have below the title you have the link. So when you go on our website, you can click on this link and
the same, 20 bucks per month.
yeah, it's a. Then we have Microsoft Copilot. Anybody is using Copilot? No, why?
It's a
Why?
joke.
Okay.
It's
We
free
have
for everybody.
somebody against the Microsoft Copilot.
Microsoft doesn't even use Microsoft.
They started using Claude Code recently.
Yeah, that just came out in the news a little while back. They said, never mind.
Never mind.
I was a Microsoft developer. I was almost a point of certification, and we actually developed a diabetes management system, which is actually in the Wegmans grocery stores. And we developed it under Visual Basic 3, under Windows NT. And within a year, when they came out with Visual Basic 4 and 5, nothing worked. Nothing worked. And we were told, and I went back to the guy that I developed it for, and they were actually getting money out of this. And they said, what would it take to convert it? And I said, here's the price tag. And by the way, if we're going to do it for Visual Basic, let's just do it in Java. And he said, can't afford it. And so they left it with NT and
You could call me and I was
Microsoft
the best of
changes every single year.
Now you just have Claude Code.
Okay, but I'm just saying, that's why I don't use any of the Microsoft stuff. It drives me nuts that they don't do backward compatibility or anything. It's terrible. Anyway, that's my opinion. Okay.
They moved to C#. Microsoft.
No, I use Copilot on my phone.
Yeah.
And I used to, like this morning, I had a 45-minute conversation on my way to work.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not
Pretty
good.
good.
The thing is, if you do it today, a year from now, it won't work again, okay? And I have Linux code that I wrote in 1975 that will, or 1990, that still runs on every Linux system, period. It doesn't have a GUI, it's all program stuff. I can take the exact source code and put it on any Linux box right now, and it will run. You can't say that about Visual Basic or Visual C or C++ or Visual Basic from 10 years ago and try and use that source code in current systems. It will not work, in my opinion, but that's just my experience.
That's Microsoft Copilot.
No, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is, at least for me as a developer,
Yeah.
they don't have a good agentic framework. That's
Good what?
Agentic framework.
What?
A Claude Code.
Framework? What?
Agentic framework.
Agentic, yeah.
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 And so you typically see Copilot as an autocomplete, which in this day and age,
As a
like,
what?
an autocompleter, right? You tab to autocomplete, and at this point, like, who uses an autocompleter?
They're behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's too behind.
The Java library, JavaScript library.
So, number 4 for Microsoft Copilot. Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
So we are flying without Copilot. Oh, we have GitHub Copilot.
I can't remember.
If you don't have an agentic what on?
It does good PR messages.
I'll just ask. What did you just say? It doesn't have an agentic what?
It doesn't, so
Was
Microsoft
agent the last
Copilot.
word?
Yeah,
Okay,
agent.
that's all I needed, thanks.
And then GitHub Copilot
Okay,
actually has
so
a nice
we
message.
say GitHub also is not like Copilot
There you go.
because it's Copilot. It's not flying good. Okay, flying Perplexity.
Instead, Perplexity is great. I mean, I downloaded the browser, Cosmic or Comet, don't remember which one is it. And I think I made the mistake of giving it access to all my email and calendar, so I can just talk to it and it does everything for me. So,
The browser is called Comet.
Comet, I think. And I'm using the free version, which is more than enough. And all those threads that we talk about, I also use them on my phone, so.
So it's good to start with free version and check if it's good.
Yeah.
And paid version is about $20 a month.
I want to say Chrome's coming out with a almost version of Comet as well. I think it's basically what it looks like is on the left-hand panel, it's what you're used to seeing on the internet. And on the right-hand panel, it's what you're used to seeing when you're coordinating with these different chatbots, where you're asking it things and then things pop up on the other panel. And yeah, I tried Comet for a little bit, but I tried the toy case where it literally tells you to do. It's like, I'm going to a new location, give me a travel itinerary. And it did a great job. I mean, it said, okay, here's your dates, and this is probably a better time to go here because there's less people at the thing. But beyond that, yeah, it's a pretty close call with Chrome, with the latest upgrades or extensions.
With what?
Yeah, very much.
With what? You kind of trailed off.
Oh, sorry. It's very similar to Chrome. Has some extensions that are very similar to what Comet, which is Perplexity's product, is. Almost the same. Almost the same.
Okay.
And we are going to Grok.
Ah!
Oh.
Come on.
Anything that can spawn Mecha Hitler is not great.
Right.
Wait, is anyone using Grok?
Who's paying for Grok? Okay.
Well, my company does.
Okay,
I don't use it though.
your experience with Grok.
I actually don't use it though.
You don't want to be alone in the
Pay for it, but
in
don't
the
use
room.
it. I feel like it's not connected to things though. I think that's the thing.
What other people think about Grok? Please.
I actually did use it for not so much for coding. So I teach, and one of the classes is about optimization. So I'll usually run on variety of things just to see what solution pops up, so I can check what I get back from students, how similar it is to solutions there. And there are some problems that will trip most of the other stuff, but Rob will manage to solve them. They still trip with some of the math stuff, actually, most of the models, but on the other hand, there's other way around. So like there's some math problems that like I once had ChatGPT just go in circles with a problem that like, I mean, I knew it just couldn't get the point where the answer was there's no solution, and it was just struggling with that. It was just trying to power through.
But Elon Musk is saying that that's the best. I think when I went to grok.com, we can actually go. Let's go. See this? Sorry, I need.
Just today or yesterday, SpaceX is trying to buy
Buy Grok,
XAI because XAI is burning through money.
IPO, I think, right?
What's that, sir?
They're merging both companies for the IPO?
They're trying to, yeah. That was-
Okay,
Which
try
one?
free for
Make
7 days.
Just AI in the States.
SpaceX and XAI.
It's $30 a month.
Oh, wow.
I can't.
That's
Oh,
super.
that's free.
Oh, yeah, use the free
They're
one.
a lower tier, paid tier?
Okay.
I've got to find.
Let me see. I think I saw that.
Can't you just go to, is there a Grok?
I'm not using
Free
Grok, but okay.
I mean, you can just go to X still.
Yeah.
Different page for Grok.
Like all the things burning through all the money.
They're all way to
No, they are,
To the bottom.
they gave me,
Oh,
let's talk, but for individual, I got, am I,
I know, right?
so nobody like,
Those again every now and then.
Grok has a lot of strong points. It's good at thinking, and the slow thinking mode is quite good. I don't use it for code, for writing code, basically because I use Claude Code and I use Gemini sometimes. And then I use some smaller Chinese models for various things like Kimi or Minimax, depending on what the use case is, right? Grok is quite good at thinking and systems planning and stuff like that, though I've never plugged it into Claude Code or anything like that.
I never tried Grok. I visited, I don't know, maybe 2 days ago, first time.
I used
To see what it
Is it free or is it that
What is this?
$30 one that bumped into?
Oh, I don't subscribe to that one. In fact, I just terminated my Claude subscription this week.
No, Grok. You were saying some good things
Yeah,
about.
you could just go to X.
So it's not the $30 one you're.
I was just using just straight off.
You're the free
Yeah.
one. Okay.
You were on $20 with Claude?
Huh?
You were on the $20 a month with Claude?
Yeah, and I was blowing through tokens really fast. Part of it, my problem, right, is me and not Claude. But I'm piloting Minimax 2.5 right now, and I wanted to check out GLM 4.7. And Kimi 2.5 came out, which is supposedly fantastic. It also thinks it's anthropic because they stole model weights, but hey. But they're all good. I mean, I'm in the middle of doing a mobile game right now, and I'm 90% complete with my PRD based on mainly Claude Code.
Claude's awesome.
Yeah. But I've been in
I think we started the second part, and I will give some introduction. We had 7 models, 7 subscriptions that you can choose. And when I was preparing this presentation, I watched it's not weird, but it's very interesting interview with CEO of oh my goodness, my brain started NVIDIA CEO Jensen, and he said, okay, we are talking when they asked him about different models. He said we are talking about 3 models right now here on this interview, but there are about 1.5 million models in the world. Totally different things, not that popular that we have it here. And we started. Actually, he started to talk about Chinese models, and we started right now to talk about Chinese models. Would you like to say something more about Chinese models? It's interesting.
So Tencent, Alibaba, and which the one I'm missing? What?
DeepSeek?
No, the companies, I forget. So like DeepSeek was interesting because in 24 it caused the NVIDIA stock crash, which didn't last very long. But Chinese models are getting really good. They do steal IP from the American companies, which is why oftentimes, like Kimi 2.5 will call itself Claude because they stole model weights. But they're generally pretty good, and they're dirt cheap.
They're dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap. The whole problem, though, is your data being shipped to China a problem?
Well, you can run them. I mean, you don't have to run them though.
Yeah, but I can't run a 40 billion parameter model.
No,
on
but
a workstation.
AWS will do like DeepSeek and models like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it depends where they're run. If you know, with those type of things, like Open Router has great deals on that stuff. You can run Kimi for free and stuff.
Can you explain what Open Router is?
Open Router is basically a model connectivity clearinghouse. So they're middlemen, basically, right? So you can use Gemini 3, you can use Opus 4.5, you can use all that kind of stuff. And they have a bunch of models that are free that are cheap type ones like Kimi
Like
and
more than 100 models? How many do they have? 200?
300 and some odd at last. But
What's the name on that?
Open Router.
So you just deposit like $20 and it might last you a month if you just
Yeah,
testing it
yeah,
with different
yeah.
models.
It makes swapping out your model on the fly really easy. That's like the benefit to me.
So do you think the price will be a decisive matter in choosing which AI to choose as we go to Walmart and buy the cheap?
I mean, it should be a function of price, but also a function of capacity, like what it's good at. You know what I
Couldn't hear the
mean?
question, could you say?
Huh?
I couldn't hear the
I
question.
asked, you said like Chinese versions are much more cheaper. So I asked them, will that in the future be like a decisive matter?
Yeah.
To decide whether the company is going to go with a cheaper model, even since they're based on the stolen.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends what your company's data prevention posture, data security posture is, right? Like if you're, like my last company, if you're a fully GDPR compliant sort of company, you have to be ultra careful. And we were only using Google stuff through Vertex because A, we already had a pre-existing Google commit, and B, they don't, if you pay them, they don't train off the models, your information sandbox, it's not sent out anywhere. Because like if you put like your user's PII and ask a question to a model, that's could be dangerous leakage, and that could open you up for lawsuits, like especially if you're in Europe, but all over, you know.
Not in China.
Yeah, China, you know, I mean, China's a great country, but not for IP. So, but yeah, there's tons of stuff, and you know, a lot of these new agentic solutions, what they're doing is they're allowing you to set model fallbacks and task categories, right? Because like if you're just doing a simple task runner, you don't need Opus 4.5. You just run on Gemma or even a crappy Mistral model or something like that, and it'll just do it. Why would you use your Opus 4.5 credits, which are the most expensive part of Claude, to like send an email or something if you're using an agentic agent? So.
Well, the same way inside Claude Code, there are different levels of model, and the standard one is Sonnet for programming. But it finally pointed out, you're just doing system administration stuff, like running some commands and moving about, and just run Sonnet. And Sonnet runs a lot cheaper, but it's like 3 times faster too to get the system administration done.
Sounds a good model. It sounds a good model, but these days, especially with the discount that Anthropic does, just leave it on Opus. Don't even bother to switch it off.
Unless speed is your thing.
Unless speed is your thing, but I mean, in most cases, like you have to account for. Opus will single shot things that a lower model might take more, so you might not actually be going faster because Opus can get you there sooner.
Yeah, but for silly little things, I wouldn't run Opus on it, you know what I mean? But like any actual programmatic task, it's really good at.
Oh, I just let it do everything. I mean,
I know.
With the subscription, it's so discounted that I'm just like, yeah, I can do everything.
And the new Sonnet's supposed to be out this week. That's the scuttlebutt. It's supposed to be half the price of current Sonnet with better coding capabilities than Opus 4.5. Yeah. But it's all scuttlebutt. Who knows? You know, we haven't seen the release.
Another thing that's not obvious is the $20, I guess all the models, all the levels for Claude Code is you're not stuck on one machine. You can put it on all your machines in the cloud to help with system administration. You can, if you want to help a friend, install it on their machine. If they're using it too much, you just turn them off. And you're solving their system, you know. So if my friends are calling like, I've got these weird Windows problem, well, I can either like start Googling to see what that is, or I can put Claude Code on your machine and it'll solve it for you, and we'll just sit back and watch.
Yeah.
Right, and you know, you can use Claude Code with other models too. It's not locked inextricably to Claude. Like once you have it installed, you can just change the connect params and have it, like mine's using Minimaxi right now. because I'm testing that.
Well, that's because Minimaxi actually binds itself to the Anthropic protocol.
Yeah.
But like Gemini is kind of a beast to get in there.
Yeah, you're gonna have problems with some of
I
those.
actually couldn't get ChatGPT to run within Claude Code.
Yeah.
It's
The
just
Codex,
too weird.
Codex for Fiber, whatever it is supposedly amazing. So
Codex
Can you-
is
I haven't played with it.
Codex is
Can
kind
you
of
say
crappy.
more about that at a basic level?
Which
The, I think you were saying.
Using
use Claude
non-Claude?
to connect to others.
Oh yeah, if a model supports the Anthropic formats, then you can just swap
Yeah.
it in.
So one of the things that Kimi did was they intentionally supported the Anthropic formats, and that's generally the way that models get in because Claude Code is agnostic. It will go to Vertex, it'll go to Bedrock, it'll go to the different providers. They have a way that you can kind of hijack the connection, and you can proxy to other things. But only a few only a few models have done that so far. And then like Codex, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with ChatGPT. Like, Codex is really, the model is good, the agentic harness is awful.
Is it?
It's just, like, if you just look at the code bases, I mean, granted, Claude Code is proprietary, but if you crack open Codex, which is open source, you're like, well, there's no sub-agent, there's hardly support for skills, like, they don't have a lot of...
Now?
Even now, I just looked at it the other week, and it's really hard to believe that it's so behind. And you're like, well, you've got Codex. Why can't Codex just write more Codex? Why is it so far behind?
Well, that's the other thing too. I don't know if Claude Code had it when it launched, but by the time I got the Claude Code, it ran on Windows, natively, Linux, and Mac. And to this day,
It's just
I think
TypeScript.
Codex will not run on Windows natively. They go run it under the Linux subsystem.
Oh, because one is TypeScript, so it'll run wherever your node will run. The other is Rust.
But the idea that OpenAI has more money than God and they can't get a program to run on Windows?
But they've got money, but they haven't really made the greatest of decisions. Like if you look at call after call. So for example, they came out with the Function API way back in the day before MCP, and Function API was their attempt to like call out to make MCP. And Anthropic looked at that and said, well, if you just fix these things, here, fixed it for you. And then once it turned into MCP, it took off. The same thing happened again. OpenAI created their MCP UI thing, and Anthropic looked at it and going, what if we did this? Right? And it looks like the Anthropic version is going to take off. Because I think, for whatever reason, the ChatGPT folks are being pulled in lots of different directions, and the Anthropic people feel like they're more focused.
It's also not clear if ChatGPT has enough money to keep going after it.
Oh, I think they're
next
so
year,
screwed.
so that's like Microsoft's just gonna.
They're just an acquisition
absorb.
candidate.
Question
Okay,
sort of.
I think you mentioned Bedrock.
Uh-huh.
Any news about AWS and then their Bedrock system? What anybody is using them?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem with Bedrock, I like Bedrock a lot, so the biggest thing it gives you is your data never goes anywhere, your data is not used to be trained by other people. It's really nice. But getting capacity on Bedrock is really difficult because AWS, the capacity in AWS is really, really tight. And you can see they're trying to buy as much GPUs and Trainium chips and whatever, but the capacity is really tight. So it just, if you run the same workload on Bedrock versus, say, Anthropic, it is noticeably faster on Anthropic with the same model. Well, it's not the same hardware, right? Like on Anthropic, you might be running on an H100. On AWS, who knows what you're running on?
They have their own.
They've got Trainium chips and they've got a couple generations of it, so you don't actually know like what it's running on. But it feels sluggish in comparison.
So I think that's how they get your money, right? These cloud providers. Not only AWS, also Google and Azure. They control what you do when you run. But they don't control, but you want more, you pay more.
Sure.
I think we started with CPUs a little bit, and let's talk about that. What do you think about new things like It's not CPUs, sorry, GPUs. No. So, what do you think about the future? We have very high prices of GPUs, we have high prices of SSD. I think a couple of days before I heard that all SSDs are sold, that you cannot buy a good SSD right now. And actually, you can buy in Micro Center, but
RAM
but
dropped in price.
you cannot get it from the
Micro Center or Best Buy.
yeah. Yes, but if you want to sell
Yeah.
SSDs, you cannot purchase from manufacturers. Also, RAM,
Yeah, triple the price last
DDR5,
fall.
triple the price. What do you think about that? It's something.
I think we're
Something is
1999.
behind that, or somebody.
I think we're 1999 or 2000, somewhere around there, and I think we're experiencing the fiber hype. Where if you remember back then, it was all about laying fiber, and every company was like laying down tons and tons of fiber, and then they realized you could multiplex fiber, and all of a sudden, like they realized they had laid down orders of magnitude more fiber than they needed. And so if you think about a GPU, right, it has a limited life cycle because the next generation will replace it. So all that money is just gone. I was in California a few weeks ago, and I was talking to some of the researchers behind Quen, and they were saying from their point of view, like, the cost of inference this year is just going to collapse from the just techniques. The techniques are getting so good at making inference so much better. And then I talked to another friend of mine on the hardware side, and he's like, we're at the cusp of a cycle of hardware upgrades. And so the techniques for hardware are getting a lot better. So the speed of inference and the cost of inference are just going to plummet. Now, that said, we're going to want to use more AI, so who knows, like, if that actually ends up making things cheaper, more expensive. But my expectation is we'll get to a point, it'll be like, to send out an email, you only need so much AI. If you make the model like 10 times more smarter, my email is not 10 times better. So we're going to reach a Microsoft Word point where you can keep adding features to Microsoft Word, but once we get to the Google Docs level, we're like, okay, that's good. There'll always be the use cases that push it. But I think a lot of people will be satisfied with the Google Sheets version, Google Docs version.
I think one of the bigger ones beyond hardware is actually energy, right? Because this is one of these few times in history where the investing side, so we put on our business hats for a second, it's just about brute force. Like, there's never been an investing component where if you double your data centers, you specifically know that it's going to get better, right? So when you have something so basic, you tell people that have billions of dollars, like, hey, we'll just make more data centers. They just make more data centers, but the problem is the energy that actually runs them is not infinite, right? Like, that's something where you're gonna get into, let's go quantum computing, because that has like 10,000 times less energy use, but it's not really there yet.
But that's a Western problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, like, China's got a huge leg up on the West because they've been investing in power for so long. Their power costs are they're nearly free.
Yeah.
And so you
That's
want to throw more data
gonna be a tipping
centers?
point where suddenly
It's a
that's
huge advantage for them, right?
When you say power cost is free, what do you mean by that?
They have spent literally like decades investing in their power infrastructure. They laid down more solar this year than I think the rest of the world has solar. I mean, they're just pumping out power left and right. And so the cost of them doing, like, one of the things that's not obvious is when the Chinese talk about making their models, because the cost of power is so low, like, it has a huge impact on how much it costs to run the model, because it just doesn't cost them nearly as much. And the state subsidizes it on top of that. And so in the long haul, the West has to get really, really good at AI before just the infrastructure advantage of China catches up.
like, we're to the point where there's a data center we'll move into a town in the States and potentially start browning out the neighborhood that's next to it. Like, where they'll have less electricity needs.
Yeah.
Whereas the infrastructure in China is 10 times better than it is. Like, who here thought that they were gonna lose power when when it got wintry a few days ago? It's like, yeah, that's ERCOT being pretty unstable. But from an energy point of view, China's done a lot of developments, and they're way ahead on it. Whereas we're taking the position of dialing back wind and solar for some reason, and that's a even bigger problem.
Like XAI is a great example, right? They have data centers where their emergency generators at some of the data centers are literally airplane jets. It is the most like crazy inefficient power source, but it generates a lot of power and it's something they can get a hold of. So whenever the grid comes up and they say, hey, XAI, can you turn it down? They have to fire up their airplane jets, right? And get those things running. Can you imagine how much money you're burning?
Just in general, where do you guys see it going? Let's assume that the cost of generating software drops by a factor of 10.
100.
Well, let's just say 10.
Okay.
So you can either keep the amount of software we have now with 1/10 the number of people writing software, or you can have the same number of people writing 10 times more software for the world, or something in between. Where do you think the equilibrium will be?
Do you think it's between the people writing versus
Or whatever,
AI
whatever entity writes the software?
I think it has more to do with the use cases.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right, like
But are there an
before
infinite
ChatGPT came along,
Oh, yeah.
not a lot of people used AI. Like it was a very small, small niche amount of people that could even use AI.
Yeah.
Until it became democratized.
Right.
And then suddenly it's like, oh, well, I've got all these other things I can do. Like, let me know this better recommendation. You kind of get into that. That's going to balloon far quicker.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like software itself rather than just uses for people finding drugs or what.
Well, I mean, I think there's so many problems in the world that you're gonna find solutions that are tailored, especially to local issues. And it's just a failure of imagination and a failure of application to finding those use cases that are actually helping us. Because obviously, if you're making tech that's not solving anything, it's not going to be adopted.
So what will be the software development professional population in 10 years?
Well,
I
it
think
depends.
Much less, or it will be the same?
entrepreneurs. You have
It
one
depends.
person that can take their idea to production. Hopefully, yeah.
I think there's someone with their hand up over there.
Yes, please.
Okay. To answer your question about the population, do you have any kids?
No.
When you have a 3-year-old that can whip around an iPad, these are people that are
Oh, yeah.
that are born to this stuff, okay? And they can do it effortlessly because they're exposed to it a lot, okay?
What will they make money at as a job?
That's a separate issue.
Oh, no.
You're asking about developers,
No.
okay? But the other thing I was gonna say is that I love the analogy that I ran across recently. I'm not saying I originated it. We're not gonna have developers anymore. What we have are shepherders.
Correct.
You don't write code, you shepherd code, meaning you're bringing in all the pieces like Legos and putting them together. I love that analogy, shepherd.
Will we have the same number of people that used to just write
If
code
people-
now will be shepherds, or we have
If
1/10 the number
they
of
make
shepherds?
the adjustment, and they have to understand that they have a learning curve, and they have to admit that they're lost, and they have to admit that, and a lot of people will not admit that they're lost.
After the equilibrium happens, like
After
when your
equilibrium.
kid, the 3-year-old is in the workforce.
Yeah.
Will those people, will there be the same number of developers who became shepherds, or will it be much less?
I think you have to redefine what you mean by.
The definition of development
That's
is
right.
gonna be, it's like writing or reading or
Yeah.
arithmetic.
How many
So
people
the-
are authors now?
Yeah, there you
You know,
go.
like,
Yeah,
there's way more people that are
Well,
like writing novels.
yes.
But they're not necessarily, that's not necessarily their full-time jobs either, though.
And it's not necessarily indicative of quality either, but
It's
you
not
make a
indicative of
good.
quality, and it's not indicative,
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right,
Making
authoring is
money.
authoring is a good example, another.
Probably developers are gonna become owners of solar panel and installation companies because that's what these needs, right? That's an opportunity.
Everybody becomes an entrepreneur.
Well, there's going to be a shift in like not necessarily like C++ or C# or
Yeah.
I get into that. I mean, take it back so many decades when there were very few programmers, right? We're talking like timing or like cars and things like that. It's really just those people are the ones. I like the shepherd analogy. Like they're creative, they're inventing, and you're giving people different tools. It would be like saying, well, how many people are going to get to use like the hammer and saw, but these people have a bandsaw and a pneumatic press. It's like, well, they might do the same thing, maybe not, but it's a different set of tools.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to have a lot more careers that have no title as of today. Like we don't know what they are. Like there might be whole underpinnings of like data engineers that might be kind of too vague, but maybe they're the ones that work at the data centers and have to optimize. Yeah.
The analogy I'd use, if I think about, just to answer your question directly, I think you'd have to redefine developers. There'll be a bazillion developers, but like in what we think of as developers today, I think the closest analogy in my head is the transition we made when compilers started being a thing, because it used to be everybody wrote in assembly.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of in the world now where everybody is writing in assembly. We're writing in the low level, type it yourself, and that, right? At some point, like we got to higher level languages, and then you had, not everyone had to understand the inner workings. And so the number of people that were compiler writers was really, really small relative to the general population. And so I think what will happen to developers now is you're either building the infrastructure or you're shepherding the infrastructure. And I think the people that are actually working on the core infrastructure, where I used to think of like the development tree as like lots of juniors going up to seniors, it'll go from triangle in my mind more to like thumbtack. But the base will be really, really, really wide.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like my first one thinking is, right now you have people who think of themselves as software engineers. The primary thing of what they do and what they are hired for is that they know how to create software. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have, the specialty is not in writing software, the specialty is in knowing your subject matter, being a subject matter expert, and then you layer on the shepherding of the software on top of that. And so it's going to be like, don't hire me because I can write code, hire me because I know your industry really well and I know how to shepherd the code for that industry. And so we'll have some other kind of title.
So you're saying it's going to be a combination of business developer, programmer, product owner, all will combined in one then?
That's why it's called IT. IT.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be like you're talking in very generic development terms. It's going to be more of like, okay, for specific industries.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I think developers are going to be more like, if you know how to develop, like right now, it's a nice thing to have. It's a, you know, because if you're the SME on any domain, you just put any language as a blanket on top. You need to know how to solve the problem, right? And developers, I mean, like right now, I hear a lot of data scientists that have PhDs, but they don't know how to develop. They don't know how to code.
I think it's security. If you don't know how to do security, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I don't care how great you develop, I don't care how you code.
It's a combination.
TPUs, you gotta have infrastructures now, you gotta do everything in-house. If you're not getting accelerators for your AI that's internal, and you don't have security protections if you're outsourcing it, I don't care what you build.
Security might even become your SME type of situation, right? You might be an SME in security for like e-commerce or oil and gas or what have you, whatever type of data or infrastructure you have.
Yeah, but if we're looking in the future, it's really storage and security are your two things, because my son can hack into just about anybody's app.
Yeah.
He's 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy what these kids are doing nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think, like, I love your analogy, the shepherding, and also the
Everybody likes
having
it, so it doesn't matter where it came from.
yeah. And I was just gonna say, I was at a meetup like last week, and we were interviewing people who are connectors in the community, and one of them was trying to find startups to apply to their oil and gas rig. And the thing that she said to me, which was really profound, was that every single startup that she meets has a hard time describing their problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I work in startups, and like that is the biggest problem, is like developing something that you can easily communicate and solves a problem. And so when we are talking about all these people who are shepherding, I think that that's the skill that's coming next, is not only do you have to communicate it, but people have to be able to find this. And with startups right now, I guess I'm more B2C, but like the advertising landscape, it's about how much money you can dump into it, but also, B2B, how are you like connecting and like getting those solutions implemented? So.
Like being a therapist for a business. What do you really want?
So I'll take the opposite side of that security argument. I actually think that if you go back and look at the history of all the languages, every language that we use today was born of something, right? If you tell me the language, I probably, like, COBOL was born because the government was worried about the monopoly that Univax and all those companies had.
Yeah.
JavaScript was born because you needed a dynamic language in the browser, right? Go was born because the C++ compiler took too long. So the likelihood that we will go through this transition and not have another language or structure come about it's zero. So the idea that we'll all be doing the TypeScript, JavaScript only, and there won't be something else is also zero. The languages that are born solve the problems of today. The current problem today, if I go to TikTok and I look for folks who say, oh, AI can't do it, they'll tell me it won't scale, they'll tell me it's not secure, they'll tell me whatever. So then I'll tell you the languages that will come about will be built in, scalable, secure, whatever.
And predictable.
And predictable, right? And so the languages that will be born will solve for the needs of today. And so in that case, like how much longer can you say, today I agree, security is an issue if you're building an AI-based system. In like 3 to 5 years, I think the AI will be just as good as the researcher will, as a human will be, of locking down and securing the system.
I mean, you can already do a decent amount of security reviews with bot skills and things like that in agents. I mean, I wouldn't put him up against my friend who's a DPO. You know what I mean? But then again, he also can't deal with, intercontinental paperwork and all the rest of it. I mean, the scary thing right now is how many people are setting things up and they don't know anything about security.
Oh my God,
It's terrifying.
Vibe coding within the past year, people are building apps in 30 days.
People put up a VPS and they'll have password logins. They have no idea what any of it is.
Does anybody like Lisp? Good, thank you. We need to talk. I've been doing Lisp since the 80s. I was at TI and we had Lisp hardware, which had microcode and Lisp, and that was it. And I did that for 5 years on a defense project. I would love to talk about Lisp, and when I'm doing writing, I'm going to write in Lisp that calls Python. Okay?
And now when you say Lisp, do you actually mean Lisp or do you mean like Clojure or like something more modern?
LISP. Invented in the 50s along with COBOL and
No, Lisp was my first language.
I know. I wasn't even.
Do what you were talking about.
That was my third.
Did you ask for training in Lisp?
I
I had a
haven't
job
guessed.
with my boss was so upset because I was
if
writing
you,
C++
if you
like
wonder
Lisp.
how to start,
Yeah.
how to continue,
Yes,
to see that models some things, how somebody compare different models.
Okay.
You can click on these links and go to YouTube and then see what people are talking about.
I would say one of the most interesting things I found from model comparison is if you look around for council software, so basically either debate or, mixture of experts, a council system basically is where you pose a question, and I'll just use like a mixture of expert style. You pose a question to a bunch of different models independently of each other, and then the models respond, and then you shuffle them and you give the responses to the other models, and you say rate and review this. And then you have another model basically kind of collate the answer. It's really interesting to see how the different models will respond to the questions. And then some models will ask for more information, some will be more interactive, tell you what's going on, others will just kind of like brood on their own and spit an answer. So they definitely feel like they have personalities. And so if you just like grab your hands on one of those, I think Andrei Karpathy, whatever his name is, he has an open source one, but there's a bunch of them out there, right? Just a council system. It's really interesting just to line the models up next to each other and say, go for it.
Okay, you're on YouTube videos, and by the way, you're gonna be publishing this somewhere, right, this
Yeah,
presentation?
it's published on our website. It's called for you all. Go to the homepage and see the picture
Thank
of
you.
today's meetup.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
So what was the,
I hope you're not posting the videos, right?
model that
Oh,
you
yeah,
said
we're all
earlier could take all the different videos and spit out?
Okay, here it is. This is the homepage.
That's what I thought.
Go to the end of the homepage. You have Pits
I mean, they're all gonna
and
be
Code
stateful
here, and
memory
on the
based.
top, it's AI tools.
They will separate the
Okay.
idea of
And
memory
real
versus
world
commitment.
comparison page, and then you have that page, and you have everything we talk
Thank you for doing that.
for the
Yes, thank you.
that starts. I hope I will be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
everywhere.
do all meetups, prepare all meetups like this in the future. Yes, please.
So I've got another question. So I've been curious about AI, but I haven't used AI much myself. But like, I'll come to like a meeting like this, maybe every 6 months or something, and I feel like all the different tools are like, wait a minute, this is a whole new set of tools.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
all this, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't feel like I need to use AI that much right now. What if I just wait another 6
Don't.
months and
Bad
I'm going
idea.
on?
Bad idea.
At what point do we have to say, well, like, how much do I have to, like the people that are on the bleeding edge, that are early adopters,
Yeah.
more power to them, thank you for doing that because, you know, you're weeding out all of the issues and making things better. Yeah, maybe a late adopter. I want to wait until all
It
this is
settles
basically
down.
turned, it's settled down and it's basically a commodity. Well,
So-
like when I go buy corn at the grocery store, I just want corn. I don't want to know about all of like the stuff that went into the corn and all the breeds of
The
corn.
corn changes over centuries. This stuff is changing over months.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but
So you
like-
can't stop.
Can I, like, if I wait another 6 months, if I wait another year, will it be a commodity where I can just say, hey, I want the core of AI without having to deal with like, wait a minute, which of these 8 different things do I pick and how do I
You
choose?
may not have a job.
I'm
sorry.
About AI,
At
I
some
will
point
tell
you
you
won't have a
something.
job.
Well, I don't have a job right now.
Okay.
There are people
That's
in
why
my
you-
country
that's
like
why
to,
you put
to
the
compare
grades.
like big things and then shock people. They say AI, I'm gonna say right now about the AI is the bullet train that is going on you. If you don't jump on that train, you are lost.
Yeah.
There's gonna be another train. There's gonna be more and more trains and I
So
don't
no,
think
no, no, I
there is.
don't want to
Well,
be
that's
like.
why
But
you're-
just take it like
but you
exercising
change this
every
one,
day.
it has the-
Learn something new every day. You don't have to master
I'm
it.
gonna learn it, but like one thing was like, when I started working and I was doing documentation and I was a writer and I was like, hey, there's this thing called HTML. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting, dabble a little bit to get figure out what it is, but I'm not gonna like learn it. And I was like, when I really need it for my job, I will learn it. You know what? I still have not yet actually needed to learn HTML.
Right.
And so I never felt like, oh, it was like the big deal. You gotta learn HTML, that's where the future is. And it's like, well, I just was waiting on the platform while those trains were taking off.
Let me
I
see.
found other jobs and I was just fine.
Let me see if I can't make an argument for you. Instead of thinking of AI like a product, like a piece of corn, or like a more static thing like HTML, it's not that you're like, okay, now I can do my job faster. Even for myself, there is a learning curve that you have with learning AI, and there's no accelerating it because you just have to experience it and learn it. You can read all the tutorials you want, but until you start to do it, so there's a learning curve that everybody hops on, and that learning curve, like, will very much dictate your ability to be marketable in the future.
But the amount to learn is gonna change and what to learn. Like
Yeah,
if I
it's
started
not
trying to
also-
learn how to write prompts,
I guess-
how you go about writing prompts now is slightly different from how it used to be.
Yeah, but most of the things that we talk about today are is the tip of the iceberg. Because I guess these gentlemen here, they have been doing development, real development with transformers deep inside. So that's what changes really quick. And for everybody, we need to jump into this bullet train, as he said, to be afloat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna be not left behind, you're gonna be bent.
Here's the way I think about it. Think about AI as an accelerant. Wherever you want to be, wherever you want to jump on, it's just going to accelerate you. And so before, when you had accelerants, somebody would get a little bit ahead, like you could catch up to them, right, if you worked hard. The acceleration is so fast now that I've never seen, I'm an old fart. I've seen a lot of this. I've never seen anything so fast.
Yeah.
The acceleration and the way it's stratifying the capabilities of individuals.
Yeah.
I used to ask people programming questions when, I'd interview them. I don't even bother. My new interview is basically, show me 15 minutes of yourself working with an AI. And I'm just going to rate your ability to use an AI. I don't care about your ability to memorize something because the AI already knows it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a very short period of time, like I have never been through a period of my life where things have changed so fast. And the biggest thing is, because it's stratifying people, if you hop on at the end later, it's really hard to catch up because you'll be trying to internalize concepts. For example, like one of the biggest challenges I find is how much can you give an AI and expect it to do reasonably? Can you give it 5 minutes of work? Can you give it half an hour of work? Can you give it 5 days of work? And what I've discovered is the amount that you can give it is not a function of the AI. It's a function of your ability to understand the work, craft the work, and set the right context for the AI. But what context do you need? That's the learning exercise, right? How do you make the AI do even more? That's the whole learning exercise. Like, I used to have a Claude code account. I got a pro account, I burned that out. Then I got the 5X and I burned that out. Then I got the 20X and I burned that out. And then I bought another Mac Mini and I got another 20X and I burned that out. And now I have, I waffle between 2 and 3 20X accounts because I can burn them out. Because you just get better and better at using them. And now it's just ferocious how much you can produce. And so the issue isn't so much that, you're going to get fired or something. It's the bar for getting hired is getting so much because you're competing with this person that can do AI, right? Because now they can do X much more. They don't need another person.
So they can get there sooner on the bullet train, and you're sitting there with one of those, where you got 2 people going.
And that's what it's going to look like. It's not that a bunch of people get fired. It's just there's no reason to hire.
Because think of it as you're a
I have to ask you, how many Claude Code agents right now are programming for you as you sit here?
Not many. I'm in the probably 5 maybe.
What was the question?
Well, when you're burning through all these accounts, you can set things going, and they work for 6 or 8 hours or a weekend or something, and solve a programming problem. If you can't do that, why is anybody going to hire you?
At some point, like what I've, at least for myself, where I'm at is, at some point the tasks have to come together, and that tends to be more humanistic. And so there are times when I can get 15, 20 of them going, and they'll all be productive. But at some point I have to wrangle them in and get them all to merge together. And that's where I slow down. So right now I'm in that period, so I'm down to 5 or so. And then because it's more manual of me doing stuff. But then after I get through the bottleneck, I'll explode out again. I'll go back to.
Are these programming tasks or
some of them are programming
tasks? Can you give an
tasks.
example of the kind of things that you're
designing?
Most of them are programming tasks. Some of them are business modeling tasks. Some of them are research tasks. They do competitive analysis really great. So it's really just a function of what I can think. For example, I have a bunch that are AI automation for operations. So I can go into Slack, say, hey, go check out something. It'll fire off an instance and it'll spin up a little Docker instance in AWS that has some credentials. And it'll go hunt around and it'll go grab stuff for me, right? And I can just literally fire off as many as I want of those. If I just have a question here, go do this, right? And so it moves from you interacting with it to more you commanding it, right? But then how do you get good output? That's the sort of skill set that you end up picking up because you realize that the prompt isn't enough. There's no mastery of prompt that'll be good enough, right? There's a whole ecosystem that you have to put around it, right? And the biggest thing you have to do is you have to think in closed systems. And what I mean by a closed system is you have to give the AI the ability to double check itself in a non-AI way, right? By non-AI, you can't just ask it, was it good, right? There has to be some sort of concrete way that it can judge the quality of its work. And you have to be able to judge, like, did you set up those boundaries correctly? Right. And then you have to think, as you get more agents interacting with each other, how do you keep them in their lane so they don't like run into each other and take over work from each other? And then one of the other things is how do you... What's that?
Because that's inefficient and productive?
It's inefficient. They stamp on each other.
Okay.
And they have limited memory windows, so you're constantly thinking about how much context can I fit in and how much of the good context, right? Because only the first 40% of the context is the good stuff. Once you get to the top 60%, like you're in hallucination city, especially because you get toward the very, very top of it, you don't want to be there. And how do you separate the notion of memory, right? What do I want the AI to know versus commitment? Because oftentimes people conflate this, and you get this problem where it forgets what it's committed to, right? And so you have to create systems so it keeps track of what it's committed to. There's a bunch of people who have created great open source products. There's like Steve Yege has a system called Beads, which is really good if you're getting started with sort of memory versus commitment. But just that notion, there's all these little techniques that maybe they'll go away as the AI gets better and better. But these are all kind of the things that you have to keep in your head as you want the AI to work on longer and longer horizon tasks.
So, William Gibson said, the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed. Well, the future is right there. And in like 6 months or a year, this will be the default how everybody works. So do you want to enter that field?
I'm curious about it, but I don't know how to get there.
Well,
and I don't know if I'm going to.
English, especially that things mechanical engineering. I said, I know that I can write the article in Serbian, but I cannot translate it to English. I'm not sure how. I have Google Translate, and then I found ChatGPT and tried to let me see if I can write an article about that. And then I wrote article, check things how to. It was the first version of ChatGPT. Then I changed things and go to my manager and showed him article. I said, okay, they didn't want to write article. This is the article. He said, who wrote that article? I said, if it is good, it was me. If it is not good, it was not me. And he actually liked the article, changed things that are not good. It was hallucinations, and then he said, oh, that's great. Who wrote your article? I said, it was Cyrano de Bergerac, my friend. I don't know if you know, if you know that story about Cyrano who was talking things to young guy, and that's how I started. Then we have presentation. I think it was more than 2 years ago about JavaScript, how to write something in JavaScript. It was very good. I mean, program about mortgage, like car loan or house loan or whatever you want. You can put something, numbers, and you got your mortgage rate. And I wrote it on JavaScript first time and presented it. I needed about, let's say, hour and a half to present everything. And also I needed about a week to prepare everything. So after I think a little more than 1 year, I decided to make presentation how ChatGPT will do that. And I said, I don't know JavaScript at all. ChatGPT, make this for me. And ChatGPT started. I had to prepare at home, and I struggled with ChatGPT to prepare me code. I didn't check the code. Copy, paste, and that's it. To see how ChatGPT will work there. And after about 3-4 hours, I got perfect code. I got everything. Actually, I had to change something, but never mind.
Yes.
Close to
And-
perfect.
but it's perfect, almost perfect code. And then I came to presentation. I say, okay, I will show you how to do that. Started new chat with ChatGPT. Okay, write me mortgage calculator on JavaScript. First prompt. Started, everything was okay. Everything perfect. What's happening?
Like different model.
ChatGPT knew what I wanted, remember, and show me that code. And I said, okay, let me go back to see how I trained that ChatGPT. So I showed them how I started to write code, all that prompts, how I changed it, and that's how I got that perfect. But on presentation, I got first time quite good. That's the thing with ChatGPT. And then with AI, how it's good, how it's.
Oh, when you're done, I want to mention about next month, what I'll be doing.
Okay, yes, please.
Okay, next month I'd like to give a talk on makerspaces.
I think the
On what?
Makerspaces.
To make
Maker
physical,
spaces.
like
Oh.
physical, like.
That's very interesting.
And we're called, look for Maker Barn Magnolia, and that is the member of that, I'm a member of that, I helped start it 10 years ago in Magnolia. What?
That was 2000.
Maker Barn
Maker Barn.
Magnolia,
Got it.
and look for Maker Spaces. And Maker Barn is the one that I'm in. The one downtown is 100,000 square feet. It's called TXRX Labs.
Does everybody know what makerspace is?
Yeah, you can do it that way.
Go for it. Oh, no, it's just a place where people have gone and bought equipment, put it in a building, and then go in and build stuff. And if you go to the Maker Barn, you will see, we have a wood shopping area, a metal area, sewing, laser, Arduinos, ceramics. We've got 3D printers, we've got 4 3D printers. And every member gets access to everything once you get certified. And it's $40 a month.
If you set the temperature to 0,
In Magnolia.
the
What?
tokens that come out.
Is it Magnolia?
Look for Maker Barn Magnolia.
Yeah, I would.
Yes,
There you
it's
go.
interesting thing. It's
So
not really
basically,
IT,
No,
especially about
it's
us,
for
but
building stuff.
it's very interesting. Because we are
Asians,
moving
how do you
to
go?
production.
Context teacher. And what
Maybe
is
some
that
pepper
prompt?
for that.
Yes, if AI took our jobs, then we have to move to
robots.
Or lineage.
Anyway, I'll be presenting next month here.
It's the
Yes,
combination of.
here we will
Feel
see, if we can do that here on
Yeah.
March.
Or over to
On
Ion.
March
That guy can
2nd,
explain.
and we have also one meetup
All I can
next
tell you is
month.
one shot that.
It will be in
It's
Ion,
too big a
and then
task.
somebody who would like to present in Ion something,
Okay.
and then we will check with you if you like to. Yes.
I could talk next week.
Yeah.
Please. Yes, I'd like to hear yours.
Okay.
What's next week? Where?
That is-
Like, do they have
Make
a
sure.
on how many
Factory, also
members they
all
can
that.
support?
We have 300.